I'm going to mute everybody actually. Yeah. So there are 2 or 3 things that I'm going to talk about, which are here and now, right? First of all, there is a tool called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. Essentially, what this means is that you are able to provide a body of knowledge, say a Harrison's textbook of internal medicine, or a Robbins textbook of pathology, or 25 PDF documents to the system, and say, this is the knowledge that you're going to use to answer questions. So there are, we can't go into the deep mathematics of it, but there are things called embeddings, and there are mechanisms by which the AI can use this knowledge and bring it to your fingertips at the point where you need that knowledge. So if you're a clinician, you want to make a decision support decision, it will bring that knowledge. If you're a patient, you ask a question, it will bring that knowledge to you. The second thing that is here and now is text to speech and speech to text. And I'll illustrate this real time when I do a demo. And that was part of the reason to do the demo. You cannot talk to agents, okay? And agents can understand you, and then agents can implement whatever you are asking them to do. So that opens up access to a much larger number of people than actually typing in things on a computer or even into your WhatsApp. Thirdly, multilingual is solved problem. Modern systems can understand Tamil, Telugu, Persian, Russian, you name any language, you type in that language, it understands it, and it can respond to you in that. I already mentioned digital twins briefly, and we have talked about some of this, right? What this means, how this all comes together, is the idea of an AI agent which has many features working together. It has vision, where it can understand an image. It has language, where you can talk to it and it can understand what you're saying and it can talk back to you. It can do very sophisticated data analysis using that RAG framework that we talked about. It also understands your emotions, and even can be quite kind and empathetic in its output. In fact, I remember a demo I was doing to a bunch of doctors like yourself in California, and it was a live this thing, and they said, Ajay, this is not fair. Your Andrea can talk to my patient for 5 minutes, and my nurse has barely 30 seconds to talk to them, right? So there is a lot of useful features in this also. But the point I'm trying to make is that this idea of AI agent is one of the most compelling use cases for healthcare that is available in 2024, and of course is going to scale up in 2025, right? So I'll take this time, Niranjan, if it's okay, to do a very quick demo of an agent that we have built. Let me see if I can
absolutely, yeah.
Go to this one. This is actually we have built, right now we have 4 agents deployed. There is a eye coach deployed in the UK in a glaucoma surgeon's clinic. And there is, of course, Pooja, which is a dialysis coach deployed in India across more than 3,000-4,000 patients in collaboration with NephroPlus, Asia's largest dialysis chain. And then there is Ava, which I'm going to show you, which is it's a diet and nutrition coach. Okay. And I'll just show you some quick features. This is how she looks like. I mean, this is not the way interaction happens, but still, I'll just run this video very quickly so that you get a flavor of what she can do.
She's muted for some reason, Ajay.
Oh, so maybe just give me a second. Now, can you hear me? Because I was on the headset. That might be the reason.
Excited to be your guide on this journey to better.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Yeah, that must be the headset thing. So I'll just start again.
No. Let me take you on a quick tour of some amazing features. Multiple diets.
You know what? I'm going to show you this. So instead of showing you a video, let me show you the real thing. So Ava is a web app. It is available to your patients, and the job of Ava is to support patients as they follow these 7 evidence-based diets. Okay, the patient or the doctors can choose that, okay, my patient is a hypertensive, he should be on a DASH diet, is also on, say, CKD stage 3, should be on a renal diet. And you onboard the patient, and then all they have to do, sorry, let me just go back to the Ava thing. All they have to do is say, before I'm eating something, I'll show you, let's take some complex picture. I have a bunch of pictures here, but let's take a club sandwich, a very American thing. Now what's happening here is the patient is taking a photo with his phone and uploading, say, this photo, just so that you get a flavor of this, right? So, can I eat this if I'm on a renal diet? Is this good for me? And see what Ava can do. And you saw how quickly the answer came. First, it identifies what all is in there. There is turkey, there is white bread, there's lettuce, there is tomato, there's bacon, and there is pickle, right? And so this is pretty amazing. This is more than 98% accurate. We rarely see mistakes in this. Secondly, it gives you a fitness score that since you're on a renal diet, turkey is +3, +5 is good, and -5 is bad. So that's how this fitness score works. And it also gives you a reason why it is okay. Turkey is a good source of protein, generally low in potassium and phosphorus. Let's see if there's something minus. Yeah, so tomato is -2 because it is a bit high in potassium. Bacon is -3 because it is also high in sodium and of course high in phosphorus. Pickle gets to -4. So now going back to my AI technology, what has happened now is it has used computer vision to identify the food. It has looked up the USDA data, which has more than 500,000 items, and evaluated the sodium, potassium, phosphorus contents and come to a conclusion on is that high or low. First of all, it also knows that it is supposed to provide this answer for a renal patient. If I just change the diet to say I'm a diabetic, then these answers will be very different, right? So this is a context sensitive answer. So this is where the data crunching power that I was talking about earlier that comes in. And finally, it's given a pretty actionable output, which the patients can use to say that, maybe I'll just eat the turkey and the white bread, and I'll skip the pickles and maybe the bacon. And that's an action that the patient can take. And hopefully, if they do this multiple times a day for everything that they eat, they start converging towards a healthier food diet, right? I mean, I'll just do a very quick demo of this, and then I'll shift to an audio demo. So just so you can see, this is also a very complex picture. There's some kind of a salad. I can see some halloumi. There is a bunch of other green stuff in there as well. So let's see. Here you go. Here's the analysis. Arugula, grilled peaches, which I couldn't recognize though. Cucumber, red onions, pistachios, grilled halloumi. And a fitness score for each of them, just to, yeah, I guess these are peaches over there. But see the amount of detail that it is able to pick up from those images, and how quickly it is able to classify each of those items, and how quickly it is able to come up with this fitness score. And the point is to educate the patient, right? I mean, maybe after 2-3 months of using this, they don't need to. They'll know that, okay, if they're peaches, I should be avoiding them. And if they're cucumber, they're okay in potassium and phosphorus, I can be having them. So we don't anticipate patients using this forever. But it's a great education tool. And that's where Dr. Niranjan also got excited, because his life's passion is to educate kidney patients about various things so that they live better life. Now, a very other quick thing, I spoke about audio, right? So Ava can understand English and Spanish. So I'll ask a question about, I mean, something that it just gave, right? Hey, Ava, you just told me that grilled halloumi is not good for me. Is there an alternative that I can use? So and you heard me. I was not slowly, I'm not talking slowly. It understands American, British accents, Indian accents very well. Very fluent in Spanish as well. She's processing. So now what's happening is she's converting my question into a mathematical.
I apologize for the confusion earlier. If you're looking for a renal-friendly alternative to grilled halloumi cheese, you can try incorporating small amounts of fresh mozzarella. Fresh mozzarella is generally lower in sodium and phosphorus compared to halloumi cheese. However, it's always important to consider portion sizes and consult with your.
Pretty good answer. Niranjan, what do you think?
Fantastic. Yeah.
So I just want to illustrate what has happened in this while. This question got converted into a mathematical numerical vector. It went through the large database to say, okay, grilled halloumi alternatives, and it found mozzarella. It got that answer into, again, a mathematical number. It converted that back into text, written text. That text got converted back into spoken English, which was then played here. And all of that stuff happened in these 5 to 7 seconds that transpired between that. So anyway, leaving the technology aside, think of it from a patient's point of view. Now the patients have an interactive tool to say that, okay, fine, you're telling me grilled halloumi is not good for me, but then what, right? So then they can start talking to this. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to illustrate on this Ava tool, Niranjan? Otherwise, I'll just go and conclude the presentation. Any other
Let me
points
see
you-
if anybody else has a diet question. Does anybody want to ask anything of this diet agent?
Dr. Bakshi, I have questions about vegetarian diet, especially for Indian patients.
Right.
Naturally, for CKD patients, there is more recommendation towards plant-based protein rather than animal-based protein. So is this pretty rich in recommending some vegetarian-based diet? A lot of people are asking about vegan and vegetarian diet these days.
So this is right now the knowledge base of Ava is the material available on kidney.org. And as you'll appreciate, most of those recipes are very US centric. There are a few, Filipino recipes and some Arabic recipes, but not that many. What we have built for India, and maybe I can use this as a segue to also illustrate Pooja. So Pooja is a dialysis coach. This is WhatsApp integrated, and this is right now live in patients in India. More than 3,000 patients are using this. And because in India, we didn't need a web app, everybody likes and loves WhatsApp, and that's much easier. For US, WhatsApp was considered to be not appropriate because for some reason it's not very popular there. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because in Pooja, we have more than 900 recipes that are written by NephroPlus dietitians. And pretty much 90% of them are vegetarian recipes, right? So here I can ask, can you give me a plant-based vegetarian recipe for dinner? Let's see what she comes up with. I don't know. So she'll go through and look up through that data set. She had gone to sleep, so she'll wake up and then come back and give me the answer. I think the point I want to make here is that adding knowledge to the backend is maybe a week's time, right? It's not it's a one-time effort. So here she comes with Navratan Korma. It's a delicious dish made with vegetables, paneer, and rich blend of spices. So we have huge number of recipes available for Indian patients. We haven't yet put that into Ava. Would that be important for a US audience, do you think? I mean, it's a fairly easy thing. We can do it, but that was one of the feedback that I was also seeking, that as we scale up Ava in the US clinical practices, how important is it to add Indian recipes?
Thank you very much. I think Niranjan shared something different recently, and I've been trying it out too. So I don't know if it is linked with yours or yes, another one. I don't know, but
No, it's the
thank
same.
you.
It's the same. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure. What I'll then do is I'll go back to the PowerPoint, and then we can open up to a full broader discussion. So I think that the main thing that is exciting me as a doctor who has looked at healthcare for the last 30 years is that we can now actually help patients decide and live a better, healthier life without having to call them into our offices, right? I think of these agents, and the next page actually illustrated these agents are assistants of doctors which have intelligence available at a tap, which have a knowledge base that the doctors can control and approve, which are not giving answers from the black box of a chat GPT or a Google search, where even a Reddit forum or some, crazy text written by somebody completely unauthorized will also be picked up in a Google search. That's not the case here. Here, the doctors tell us as their client that, okay, I want you to answer from NKF only. Or, for example, US FDA has tons of information for every drug that is approved. There is a 40-page drug label that is available. So if I show you Pooja again, I am having I'm just showing you the medication information, some side effects with, let's say, acetazolamide. What serious ones should I be worried about? So now this answer will come from the US FDA drug label of acetazolamide. Okay, and it's going to pick that up and go through it and give you a pretty detailed answer, right? Allergic reactions, blood disorders, liver problems, skin reaction, and it's only picked up the important ones.
How are things? What? Everything is good? Yeah, everything is good. Next month I'll be.
This is the last slide, and I want to conclude this presentation by saying that these AI agents are here and now. How they start coming into clinical practice is also up to doctors, right? I mean, and collaborations between doctors like all of you and technology companies like what we have built to say that, okay, here is a problem that I'm facing. And can you help me solve it? Here is the knowledge I want you to use. Here is the language or here is the clinical setting in which the agent can actually play a role. So I think if what I have presented triggers that thought process in all of you to say that, how do I deploy AI in a setting in my practice or in my cohort of colleagues who practice similar sort of or see similar sort of patients? I think I would have succeeded in creating that bridge that I talked about initially, the bridge between the technology builders and the users of the technology on the medical side. So this is here and now. Happy to go deeper into explaining how the technology works, or happy to go deeper into answering some of the questions around privacy or confidentiality and medical legal liability. All of those are also big concerns in doctors. I understand that. So with that, I'll stop the presentation, hand over back to Dr. Niranjan to moderate any Q&A that you wish to pursue.
Thank you so much, Ajay. We have a few questions already on the chat box. Dr. Sridhar Mandayam, how do we access Pooja? Is it only available in India?
Yeah, so Pooja is only available in India right now because in the US, we will need a US FDA approval. So since that goes into the clinical decision support, I want to broaden that point also a little bit. Ava is a diet coach. US FDA has written very clearly in its definition of a medical device that if you are helping people live better lifestyle and diet and nutrition, then it is not a medical device and it's not regulated. So therefore, we were able to launch Ava in a California cardiology practice fairly smoothly. But Pooja goes beyond diet into side effects, drugs, interactions. Even I didn't show you, but she can answer pretty comprehensively, very intelligent questions around, oh, my son has acute kidney failure. What should be he doing? This treatment versus that treatment, pros and cons. So that goes a bit deeper. And that we will bring to the US in a few months' time. But Ava is here and now and actually pretty useful and available for all US patients.
The next question is, how will AI access proprietary knowledge base to make knowledge current?
Yes, good question. See, the use case. So, okay, there is two areas where absolutely current knowledge is important. And the first area is clinical decision support. If you are advising a line of treatment to your patients, it will be very useful to you if the AI can say, okay, I've seen the last 5 publications and here is what is going on. That is not what we are building, what I have shown. But there are people who are building these sort of knowledge graph tools, which allows clinicians to be assured that the answer they are giving is the latest answer. But I'll also point out a challenge in this, right? I was one of the first customers of IBM Watson for oncology. I was the CEO of Manipal at that time, and this is way back in 2016-17 timeframe. And when we deployed Watson in Manipal, the senior most oncologists, they came and said, Ajay, when we have a simple case, say a early, a small breast lump, which is malignant, Watson does a great job. But when we have a complex situation, Watson is also lost, because the complex situation, there is no ground truth which Watson can apply. Right. So this latest knowledge business is actually a bit challenging for AI, because it requires a lot of judgment to say whether I trust this latest paper published in any GM, or I have questions about this paper. And how do I deploy that in my patients? I actually don't think that is a good use case for AI to make that judgment. It can surface that knowledge for you as leading clinicians, but for it to tell you that, okay, this is trustworthy, I don't foresee that happening anytime soon from AI solutions.
Thank you. The next question is, do you have any prospective data on the real world usability of your products? How user-friendly is it? What is the cost for the patient? And any objective data on the clinical benefit?
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for that question. So we have just submitted an abstract to the World Congress of Nephrology, which actually Dr. Shankar brought to my attention. We have taken and analyzed 2,000 patients who have used Puja in India at NephroPlus, and NephroPlus is also co-author in that paper, in that abstract. It's not a paper yet. And we were pleasantly surprised to see that it was used across 365 centers of NephroPlus in India, across 7 languages, including Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, and across the so-called elite centers and the PPP. They have a bunch of centers which are in collaboration with state governments in Bihar, Jharkhand. So presumably those patients are much lower in the socioeconomic status. So we have asserted in that paper that the technology is widely usable, and it has an impact on people's ability to get answers to their questions. We have not yet been able to prove improvements in clinical outcomes. That's going to take time. And I'm not even hoping that I'll see an improvement in, say, dialysis mortality in the next 3 to 6 months. That's going to take much longer time. And we have research collaboration within NephroPlus for that. A similar abstract for the eye coach, I briefly mentioned it. We have an eye coach that has been deployed on more than 100 glaucoma patients in UK. More than 500 conversations have happened so far, and we are having our glaucoma specialist give marks to those, each question and answer. Each question the patient asked and the answer that Emma, that agent is called Emma. And the first results show that at least 80% of the answers get more than 8 on 10 marks, 10 being perfect answer. 10 is what he would have given as an answer, right? So we are beginning to see that evidence. It's still early days yet, and that's why the title of this talk is what you will see in 2025, because by 2025, you will see a lot of this evidence accumulating, not only from us, but from many other groups that are working on these AI agents, and that will give you the assurance that these things are more robust and scalable.
Thank you. The next question is Ava an AI software we buy as a group or individually for patients?
Sorry, say that again. I didn't.
Is Ava an AI software that we buy as a group or individually
yes.
For patients?
Great question. So we have both models. Think of it this way, that there is a retail model by which you can just offer it to your patients and they pay for it directly. But our experience in UK as well as India, and now the early experience in California also, it is far more successful if doctors do a sort of discounted bulk purchase and then offer it to their patients, even at a markup. We don't care, right? So I mean, just to be very specific, patients for Ava are being charged $9.99 per month, But if a doctor was to purchase, say, okay, 100 Ava subscriptions, I mean, our current pricing for that is around $6.99, $7, right? Now, the doctor could sell it to the patient for $14, for $20. That's between you and your patient. So the specific answer to that question is that our preferred model is that doctor practices do a bulk purchase from us. Not a bulk purchase, it's not even a purchase. I mean, you just sign up as a provider and you say, okay, I want 100 this month, I want 50 next month, I want 0 the third month. And it's all self-service. You don't even need to talk to an individual about that. And you just get the credits, and those credits then you can sell to your patients who will get access to Ava. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. The next question is, how many small jobs does Ava replace in a typical doctor's office or a large healthcare system?
So, first of all, I don't think we will replace any jobs. I was talking to, I'll tell you who was I talking to. I was talking to a nephrologist, and he said that he ended up, okay, so this is a nephrologist in Bhopal. This is Gopesh Modi, the friend of mine, is an Amazonian. He said he has fired all his dietitians because they cause more problems than they will just give some very generic sort of an answer to the patients. And he then had to spend more time to correct the errors of the dietitians than do it himself. But I'm just using that as an anecdotal sort of story. My belief is that Ava occupies a space which is currently essentially unoccupied. You saw what I showed you. She can analyze your pictures 5 times a day for everything you're going to eat and give you real-time feedback of what you should eat and what you should avoid. That service is not possible even with the best dietitian in the world, because dietitians are not available 24/7 to analyze your pictures. They're not going to do it. So it is a new service made possible by the power of AI to help improve your patient's compliance to certain dietary restrictions that you might need to put them on. So I actually don't think this is a replacement of a dietitian. In fact, we have some very excited dietitian and nutritionists who want to use this in their practices, because they also see this as a complementary to their work and effort.
Great. The next question is, who regulates the AI's answers to the patients? How is that standardized or licensed to avoid lawsuits from spurious answers, especially this being a global program?
Yeah. So exactly. So this was the crux of what I was trying to say. If we were doing a prediction of a complication or a decision support or something that the doctor is using to make an important decision for their patient's health, the US FDA would regulate it, right? If you are in the space of food analysis and education about various, alternative options for a halloumi cheese, there is the risk of even first of all, in our experience as of now, we are upwards of 98% accurate. But even if you take those 1 or 2% inaccurate answers, the worst that happens is the patient says, no, I don't agree with you, you're wrong, right? And then there is a little bit of discussion that happens between Ava and the patient, and we from the back end analyze every question and answer. We have a group of doctors who are looking at this, and our AI team takes efforts to improve even those few erroneous answers. So in the space of patient education, our belief, and whatever US lawyers also that we have spoken with, is the liability is not there, right? Okay, I'm deliberately saying there's never a zero liability in any situation, particularly in the US. There's so many lawyers over there. Time may show that there is some areas where we need to be a bit more careful. But right now, in the diet and nutrition and general improvement of patients, say physical activity and awareness of various things, the risk and the liability is low. Having said that, I am a clinician first and a technologist later. So our team has a very strong quality improvement methodology, which I talked about, that the doctor's red flag, we have a framework, good, bad, or ugly. Was the answer good, bad, or ugly? And every bad and ugly answer, which are very few, are evaluated by a data science team and efforts made to improve that. The error may be in the understanding of the question, in the quality of the knowledge, or in actual generation of the answer. So there are a whole bunch of things we do to improve the answer, and it keeps improving with every iteration.
Wonderful. The next question is, does the system support personalized medicine?
So actually, this is the beginning of personalized medicine. And let me illustrate how. So in Ava right now, we have not kept too much of PHR, because in the US, the moment I start having personalized health records of patients, there are a whole new chapter opens around HIPAA compliance and a whole bunch of other things. So we have not made Ava personal health data compatible. But in India, in Puja, we are able to consume the lab reports of those patients and identify, say, so for example, just earlier this week, we identified that more than Nephroplus has around 20,000 patients who are on the private side. And pretty much all of them have monthly lab tests. We identified that almost 4,000 of them had hyperkalemia. And these patients, a personalized message that your last lab report shows you have high potassium, learn how to improve it through your diet. And then Pooja will handhold them that what to avoid, because the doctors are doing what they can do to reduce potassium, but how can the patient also contribute to that through his improved dietary compliance? So we are starting to see the beginning of starting to see personalized medicine emerge. And as Pooja becomes smarter in handling your information, your personal information, she will have memory. She will remember what you liked, what you did not like, and she will become more and more your agent, your individual agent, rather than a general off-the-shelf agent, which she is right now. It's a very important question.
So one more question was, if do you have a pilot trial evaluating efficacy and change in patient clinical parameters?
For Ava, that is ongoing in this cardiology practice that I talked about. We have already enrolled, I think the last number I saw is upwards of 60 odd patients. And the effort is exactly to study, first of all, on the usage side, how many patients are able to use it, how many of them give up, how many of them complained about technology unfriendliness or positive. Till now, the feedback we have got is pretty positive. And then the second part will be how meaningful were those outputs or were those interventions that Ava provided. So this is work in progress. And I would say that since, Niranjan, you have emphasized this to me, that actually you were the one who got excited that, look, in kidney patients, probably renal diet following is way more important than, say, a Mediterranean diet in a heart patient. What you told me was the impact of higher compliance of renal diet on the progression of, say, ESRD would be much more than, say, a well-controlled Mediterranean diet on a heart failure patient, right?
Correct.
So a part of the reason for this call is also that those of you who wish to use this in your group of patients, we are happy to collaborate with you also on the academic side. Also to say, let's do a mini study. And given what I said earlier, that these are not this doesn't require a very complex IRB approval. We anticipate this to be a pretty quick, navigation even through the academic systems. We will be happy to collaborate with any one of you if you want to pursue that.
There's one last question in the chat box. Are there other US companies like yours? Or other global companies similar to yours?
So of course there are. There are a bunch of apps. In fact, one of my friends had pointed me to an app on the App Store. What a lot of these apps do is become your dietitian, right? They say, okay, what is your age? What is your goal? If you want a weight loss goal, then this is the diet that you should follow. What they don't do is what we have tried to innovate on is really bring best in class practices of how to follow a renal diet, how to follow Mediterranean diet, not only from a theoretical perspective, but actually, this is the photo of what I'm going to eat. Should I eat it or not? Right? I mean, that is the point of decision where your life either becomes healthier or less healthy. And if you don't have the information on that point, having it in a blog on a website is not very helpful. I mean, when you go home and check that, oh, I shouldn't have had the fries, it's already too late, you have had them. So I think where we are most innovative is integrating all of this in a way where this becomes a tool of the doctor or actually the doctor's team. The doctor may not be directly in charge of the nutrition compliance. It may be a team member, it may be a PA, it may be a medical assistant, it may be a whole bunch of folks on your teams. So there we believe we are ahead of the game. And secondly, you'll also notice we are only doing these 7 diets right now because for each of them, there are more than 100 papers published proving that these diets work in those situations, right? Whether it's a DASH diet for hypertension or it's a renal diet for ESRD. I mean, we don't have to convince people that, hey, this is a great diet for you. Because guess what? Your doctor just prescribed you this diet. Our job is to say, once your doctor has prescribed you this diet, how do we help you actually adopt it on a day-to-day basis without becoming a Wikipedia of that diet in your head, right? Very few patients are able to do that. There are some who are very smart and who probably know more than dietitians, but you will agree with me that that's a single-digit number, percentage-wise. Most of them just either give up or just say, hey, this diet stuff doesn't work. So I think that's the gap that we are trying to fill.
Thanks, Ajay. There's one question. Generative AI learns from existing data and what is fed. Will this not introduce bias and restrict further growth or information, restricting choices?
So, no, this is a great point, and I want to go back to the RAG framework. See, what we are doing is not using an LLM to generate the answer. As I said, say for Ava, let's take the renal diet. For the renal diet, Ava has the entire content of the NKF available to generate that answer. And it's not only NKF, it's also a bunch of other trusted sources like the US FDA, like USDA has all these diets. So Ava is not generating the answers on its own. In fact, anything that is coming from a chatbot is very scary for doctors and actually not production level adoptable in clinical systems. This is true. So you would have seen that ChatGPT has passed the USMLE exam. And my point is, okay, so what? Are you going to deploy ChatGPT to see a patient? How are you going to answer to the auditor that where did the ChatGPT get that answer from? Because there is no transparency in where the ChatGPT has generated that answer from. So this question is very important when people claim that, hey, I have a large language model that can do better than a radiologist or that can do better than a pathologist. And the way we think about it, and there are many, many other companies which are also beginning to do that, look, use the LLM as an input-output tool, as a language tool to understand the question of the patient and then to generate the answer in voice once you get the answer. But the answer, the brain of it, should be coming from controlled content that is trustworthy. And that is where 2 major things happen. One, hallucinations disappear because to be very precise, I mean, when we were doing puja for NephroPlus, in the beginning, we realized that if it did not find a recipe, it will say, oh, okay, I'll give you a recipe. Because it's like an enthusiastic assistant and it doesn't want to say no. But when you're in a RAG framework, you can say, okay, if you don't find the recipe, say you didn't find a recipe. That I don't have a recipe for a steak in India, because in India anyway, we don't, nobody can buy steaks over here. So the point I'm trying to make is that this hallucination problem and this whole thing about AI is only as good as what it is trained on is actually not relevant that much when we are using this RAG framework that I talked about, because then you are controlling the brain, the knowledge that is going into the brain of that, and you are assured that the answer is coming from that. So that's where the true innovation starts to become usable by clinicians like those in this group.
Great. There's one question which I think I know the answer to, but I'll let you answer it. The question is, if we enroll patients, can you measure level of interaction to see if this is working? I know the answer to that, and the answer is yes. And that, but
Yeah.
I'll let Ajay explain.
So I'll explain the nuance around it. See, the feedback we got from our early users, doctors in the US, was as long as you in Neurance are looking at the answers and evaluating the quality and improving the output, we are happy. We don't want, as practicing clinician in the US, to be exposed to the answers. We don't want, because then that opens up as providers to those patients. First of all, we don't have the time. Secondly, we don't know whether we can do anything with that information, because as you will realize, it becomes very detailed very quickly. I mean, some patients have 10 conversations in a day. And as you saw, the answers are pretty long, right? I mean, which doctor wants to sit and say, what did you eat for lunch? What did you switch your halloumi with mozzarella? I mean, the doctor is going to say, why do I care? After a point of time, right? So even in UK, we got this feedback from our glaucoma colleague. He said, Ajay, I don't want to know what the answers are, but I want to know at a macro level how many conversations have happened, and I want to evaluate the quality of the answers in an anonymized manner, right? So, the current construct is the conversations between Ava and the patient are, of course, fully visible to us in Neurance and our quality team, which is looking at them. But the doctors don't have access to them by design. That was what we were told to do.
Great. I think that was all the questions that were in the chat box. If anybody wants to ask anything verbally, do we have any time left for it, Ajay?
I'm okay. Yeah. I'm fine. We can take a few minutes if anybody wants to comment. Otherwise, Niranjan, you can also share my email, and people who want to have one-on-one conversations. I mean, Ajay at NeuranceAI. I mean, I can even share it here in the chat.
I just did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Happy to help all clinician friends to bring AI into their practices in a way where it complements and expands your capabilities, and not have the inane conversation that a lot of people are having. Oh, it's going to replace doctors, it's going to replace nurses. That's not going to happen anytime soon, because people don't understand the burden of proving safety and efficacy. And we have to be very, very mindful and thoughtful of that. The technology companies have to understand that. And that's one of the things we are trying to fix.
Great. So if there are no more questions, the video recording will be available for those who could not attend, and I will share it. So thank you, Ajay, for a very interesting presentation. And I think the world of AI in medicine is just opening up, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of this coming in the next few months to years. So it's going to be a very exciting time for us at the confluence of healthcare and AI.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Niranjan, for organizing this. And thank you to